Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, June 27th. It is 6:22 right now. The market's going to open in about 8 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, and then we can get started with our session for today. A few things to check off here. That's good. A couple more things down here, and then we should be good to go. Solid right there. All right. All right, looks good. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. And we should be good to go. All right, looks good. All right, cool. As people are joining the room, I'm going to go ahead and set up the areas of liquidity here on the shorter time frame. So the hourly. Start marking these up right here. All right, cool. So that looks good. 30-minute. There. Going down to the 15-minute. Looks good right there. These zones are like super far down, so I don't think they're going to get triggered anytime soon. I mean, who knows? We'll see how crazy the market moves on on open. So got these marked up here. It's 10-minute. Go down to the 5. And down to the 1 minute. We should be good to go. All right, solid. So good morning, guys. Looks like more than half of you guys are here already. So I just marked up the liquidity on the lower time frames from the 1 hour to the 1 minute. Looks like there's a lot of liquidity on both sides. However, I think overall, I think price is going to make its way down. If you guys have been following the market, you guys have seen that volatility has died down a lot. We are entering the summer session, so this is typical, but it's not really going to affect us too much because we're still scalping mainly. And we're only going for like 100 pips. So even if the market does die down, there's always going to be at least 100 pip moves here and there. So it's not really going to make a difference for us. It's going to make a difference for swing traders and intraday traders because there's not going to be very much movement. But for us, it doesn't really matter because you're going to see that there's a lot of entries still that are still available for us to take. So, all right, guys, good morning. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, June 27th. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. It is 6:26 right now. The market's going to open in about 4 minutes. I've marked up the liquidity here. So we'll take a look at the sentiment fundamentals to identify where the direction is sitting. So let me check the chat real quick and see who is here. Let's see, morning, Kenny, morning, Kurt. Kurt said, just ordered Biden training wheels for his bike. Nice, Kurt. Morning, Rashida, morning, Lisa, morning, Jez. Morning, Patrick. Morning, Maria. Morning, Peter. Morning, David. Eduardo said blew 2 accounts in the past 3 weeks, starting a new one and last one today. Good luck to you all. Yeah, nice, Eduardo. So Eduardo, I think what you need to do is to really dial down on your risk management because it should be, you shouldn't be blowing any accounts within weeks. Like if you're blowing an account, like maybe blow an account within a month or a couple months, but within weeks, that's kind of excessive, right? You're definitely over leveraging because if you're risking 1 to 3%, and your account is 100%, like you literally have to lose like 100 trades to blow your account, which shouldn't be done within weeks, right? It should take months, if not, an entire year. So just make sure to use proper risk management, because if you're blowing accounts within weeks, you're probably risking, 5-10% per trade. And if you have back-to-back losses, that's going to lead to blown account. So if you're following the trading plan and you're using proper risk management, it should be virtually impossible to blow your account. So just, keep that in mind in the future. Just want to make sure that you're on the right page and not gambling here, because that's typically what a lot of people do, right? If you're not using proper risk management or identifying quality trades, it's really just gambling at that point. So let me scroll down further. Morning, Todi. Morning, Stern. Morning, Denzel. Morning, Pat. Welcome back. Morning, Professor. Morning, Jessica. Morning, Randy. I see. Yeah, Eduardo said I had a hard time sitting on my hands. Yeah, that's going to be an issue that a lot of people have. So it's all about being disciplined and patient. But it happens, and it's nothing new. So don't feel bad about it. You're going to get over it at some point. But I'm sure you're in the early phases where you're going to be gambling a lot, and you're going to feel that FOMO. So, like for today, I'll show you guys. Now that the market is now open, we will take a look at the bias. So let's take a look at the bias right now, guys. Looking over here at the retail sentiment. Retail sentiment is currently 53% long. So there's not a strong bias here with regard to retail sentiment. It is still higher on the long side, but it's not really going to be one direction or the other. Looking over here at the fundamentals, they're only up 43 points. So we don't really have a bias, guys. If you guys are looking at the market, there's no fundamental bias overall. There's no retail sentiment bias. There's just no bias at all. So we'll see where price does end up going. My guess is that overall it's going to come back down, but I mean, we'll see. So for the breakout today, it's going to be a bit difficult to really gauge where price is going. Price can really go either way. So I'll put the breakout requirements right there, and we'll see where price goes. Not sure how confident I feel about taking it because there's no direction, but if price does come back lower, I will probably take it. However, one thing that you want to keep in mind is that there is a sessions right here. So even if we do take a sell for whatever reason, there's going to be a session right there, and there's going to be a session up here as well. So the market is now open, guys. What we're looking for here is a strong green candle, meaning a green candle with little to no wick on the top side. And the reason for that is because we have a buy signal right here. If we get a sell signal, then we can start looking for a sell. But currently right now, we are currently looking for a buy, obviously. So we'll see what happens here, but we have to wait for this to confirm. So first step right here, look for entry after 6:30. It's 6:30 right now. Second, you want to confirm the bias. There's no bias. Third, you want to confirm the direction of momentum. We have a buy signal right here, so momentum is bullish, but we need to confirm that strong green candle to make that entry. So this candle right here does not look strong. Looks like price is coming back down. If we get that sell signal, we can shift our bias to the sell side with regard to momentum for this entry here. So no sell signal yet. If it comes up invalid, that's perfectly fine. And if it doesn't, then we'll be looking for a possible sell here. So, I mean, we're just waiting basically for some sort of confirmation here. We have no sell signal. So I'm going to set up these here for both a sell and a buy just in case we get either one. But from my perspective, I think I'm looking for a sell here. Price is coming down with the sell signal. However, it's right at the session. So you guys want to be very careful if you guys do decide to take this trade here. Candle here is also pretty huge. So something to keep in mind. If this does close, this will technically be the breakout, but you guys want to be very careful about taking it because it's a huge candle looking at the red flags and it's right at the session. So definitely something to take into consideration. All right, so we didn't get a sell signal there. No entry for the sell. We needed to close with the sell signal. So we're still looking for a strong bullish signal or bullish candle in order for it to confirm. But right now we need a sell signal to confirm the bias. We don't have that bias yet. You guys can see exactly where price is rejecting from. So if I take off this line here, you guys can see this green line here where price keeps bouncing off. That's the session. That's going to be number one of the red flags. All right, we got about 20 seconds left on this candle. We got to see where it closes. I'm definitely looking to enter a sell though if it does come down, but it's still at the session, so I got to be careful. All right, so this might be the breakout right here, guys. So this would be the breakout right here, but you guys want to be a bit careful. I'm not in it yet. If I do enter it, I'll probably enter it for partial moves because of the, obviously the crazy movements right here. I'll probably just enter it for like 100 pips or so, and I'll probably just keep double dipping into it. But yeah, this would be the breakout here. The reason why I'm a bit cautious about this entry is because there's no bias, but I was looking for a sell to begin with. Looks like price is making its way back down, but it keeps bouncing back and forth. Still not in the position, still waiting for it to kind of bounce around. And if it does come back down, then this is where I would be taking my entry at actual entry point. So just waiting for it to really confirm. Because the thing is, this candle here is kind of big, so it might have to retrace a bit before it does come down further. So you just got to be patient and wait for it, guys. You can see right here, it's kind of bouncing around. That's why I haven't really entered it yet. I'm going to wait for it to close because if it does close above here, it might bounce around. So here goes, it spikes down further. Let's see if I could. Yeah, that was quick. So when it came back down right here, I just hit sell on my DOM and you can see it dropped at least 100 pips. So it just hit my TP like within a few seconds. You can see like when it gapped right here, I just hit sell and then it just hit my TP and closed me out. It did exactly what I was waiting for. I was waiting for it to come down further. And there it goes, it drops lower and lower. So going for 100 pips, guys, you can see how far I was only going for it. When I saw this gap right here, I hit sell on my DOM. It dropped a little bit, hit my TP right away. And then it pulled me out. So this is what I mean about taking just partial moves, right? I'm waiting for it to pull back, come back down. I didn't get up here, but I got in down here and then I still hit my TP. So within a couple seconds, TP and it pulled me out. And you guys can see how crazy the market is moving. This is what I anticipated because we're coming back from the weekend and there just is no bias right now. Nice. So Mohammed took it as well. He took partial TP. Jonathan took partial TP. Kurt said it's strong. I took the 3-minute daily sell, 300 pips, lined up with the breakout. Take a look, definitely. We'll take a look later, Kurt, because we're not really looking at that right now, but we will take a look at some point once we have some free time. I don't like really going between the 3-minute because it throws people off, the 3-minute and the 1 minute. We just take a quick glance. I see right there. Cool. Yeah, Maddie said set it out too fast for me. Yeah, honestly, I wasn't going to take it, but I FOMO'd into the position, but I was aiming for a sell, so it did go with my direction. Yeah, Maddie set it out. I locked in a quick profit. Nothing crazy. I just locked in about 1,590. It's just 100 pips, but there was some slippage, so it did go in my favor. I was only technically supposed to lock in 1,000, but price moved so fast that it gave me a little more. I'm not going to take anything else here because it's kind of moving kind of crazy. I'm going to wait for it to kind of stabilize, and then from there I'll look for some more entries. But I will put a alert here for you guys that are riding it the full move. Looks like it's going to hit TP though, so if you guys are holding it, it still looks pretty solid. It's just kind of trippy how it's moving because it's going back and forth so much. No, I'm not a kill, unfortunately. I want to, but I'm not going to. I think the market is moving kind of crazy, and there you go. It's going to hit full TP. I would probably get in too late if I was to enter it. I was thinking about it, but it was just, the market is just, when it moves like this too crazy, I don't like doing any double dips because I'm worried that if I enter, and there you go, full TP off the breakout. So if you guys took it for the full move, congrats to you guys. I only took it for a partial move here because there was no bias. Typically, I want all requirements to be met, but I killed just what I was mentioning earlier. Sometimes I'll try to take the last 100 pips right here, but I was worried that if I entered it, I'd enter too late because sometimes I'll enter and price will gap already, and then my entry would technically be down here, similar to what happened up here. And I don't like overextending past the TP here, even though it looks like it still probably would have hit. So if you guys caught that, great work. If you guys want to send in your profits, feel free. Otherwise, we'll keep looking for some more entries here. My bias is always going to be a sell, guys. If there's no bias in the market, my overall bias long-term will always be a sell. The reason for that is because we're entering a recession. So I do think price is going to keep dropping further and further. I don't really expect a really huge recovery anytime soon. Price will retrace up, but overall, I still think price is going to continue dropping further and further for the next, at least until the end of the year. So we will have retracements where price will push up, but I will just wait for that to retracement to end, and I'll just keep riding it lower because the economy is not getting any better anytime soon. So for you guys who caught that, great work. I'll send an update in the group so that you guys can know that the position is done with. I know a lot of you guys just want to wait for that confirmation so that you guys can take it out. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people just want that confirmation from me to show that it's actually done before they actually pull out. But you guys should just understand the strategy so that you don't have to wait for me to confirm it. So if you guys have profits to send in, feel free. Otherwise, we'll follow along for more entries here. So I think our bias, well, I'm not really a bias, but see how the fundamentals are looking. Fundamentals are currently, they're not really down that heavy right here. So we don't have a fundamental bias. It's still down 23 points, but it's not very much. Looking over here at the heat map, heat map is currently, it's pretty split. I mean, it's half, some are red, some are green, but they're not very deep green. They're like just a light green. You can see right here that they're not very strong. So everything here is kind of split up. You can see the fundamentals here are slightly in the red, but it's going to swing back up. You can see here it's pretty low. Looking over here at the retail sentiment, it's currently 52% long. So there's really no bias with regard to retail sentiment, no bias with regard to the fundamentals. Looking over here at the actual stock index, it's pretty halfway split, half for red, half for green. No real clear direction right now. So, technically you can probably take trades in both directions and do pretty fine, but not one that I'd recommend. I typically want to trade in the direction of a bias. So with that said, I'm going to mark up a couple of things here that we didn't get down yet. So I'm going to go over here and mark up the opening price, which is 6:30 a.m. right there, color that blue. Let me see if there was any news this morning. I don't think there was. Actually, there was news at 5:30. 5:30 and 7. So we have news over here at 5:30. And then 7 o'clock. We got news coming up as well. So as you guys can see, market opened right here up top. It dropped pretty heavily, and then now it's bouncing right back up. So just looking at where price is moving, you can see there's no clear direction. Obviously, it looks like price is trying to make its way down, but price is currently in a range. So price pretty much dropped below here, and then it's now bouncing back and forth between this high and this low below here. So we'll see where this goes. My guess is that price will continue dropping, but I'm going to be waiting for that to confirm before I actually take anything. I'm going to go over here to the clean chart, mark up the liquidity just so that you guys can see the direction a bit better. It's a bit harder to see with the markups on the chart. But doing it here on the clean chart, you guys can see the direction a lot more straightforward. right, so that looks good. Markup news price at 530. Right there. Markup opening price 630. There, as you guys can see, prices dropping a bit lower. No surprise there. It's going in the direction of where price is supposed to go. 7. All right, got everything marked up here. Now you guys can see the direction a lot better, like without all the markups on the markup chart. Market open right here at 630. It's dropped below here. So market open right there, drop below. Now it's just ranging between this high and this low right here. What we want to confirm is if price drops lower, we're looking for it to drop below, retest, and continue dropping. This is the ideal situation right here. And that's kind of what price is doing at this moment. Price is like inching lower and lower, but until we have that confirmation, not really much for us to take right now unless we see something really good. There's no variations here that are available. There probably won't be any variations that we can even take because we need to confirm the overall bias. Since it doesn't look like we're going to have an overall bias today, we can still look for sells here, but just, keep in mind that they're going to be risky. I'm only looking for sells for the reason, as I mentioned before, I do expect price to continue dropping, but it's just going to be, I don't think it's going to be a smooth move to the downside. Going over here, let me see if there's anything else that I'm missing. I don't think there's any other news today. Just looking at like the news that's coming up later today, we have consumer confidence, CB consumer confidence tomorrow. We have OPEC meeting on Wednesday. Powell's also speaking on Wednesday. Core PCE price index and unemployment claims. So we do have like a decent amount of news. We have ISM manufacturing PMI on Friday. We have a decent amount of news, but not anything too crazy to really throw stuff around. The main thing to really keep in mind would be the G7 meetings. This is going to affect the market as well. It's like global news, or not global news, but it's basically the global leaders meeting with each other to discuss. I forgot what the G meetings are about. Let's see. Yeah, so G7 meetings are attended by finance ministers, central bankers, and from 7 industrialized nations: Canada, Italy, France, Germany, Japan, and the UK and the US. So they're basically going to be talking about, finance and stuff like that, the economy across the world with, the 7 major countries. So we'll see how that affects the market. That's probably going to affect the forex market a lot more, but, it's still going to touch on the US economy. So it will affect the US30 as well, just not as sharply as it would for the forex market. So other than that, I don't really see anything else for us to take here. As you can see, price is still ranging between this point. What I'm looking for at this point here is I want the range to get tighter. So you can see the highs right here, but price is really just moving sideways down here. So when price pushes back up and creates another high, like right there, then the range will get tighter. This is a good thing if this happens because it's just setting up for a squeeze and a breakout to follow that squeeze. So I'm fine if price stays down here, because then from that point I can wait and anticipate for a breakout to follow. So other than that, I don't really see anything else for me to take right now. Jonathan's asking, how big was that previous candle? Are you talking about the entry right here for the breakout, Jonathan? Or are you talking about a different one? Sorry, I just saw your message, so I'm not sure which one you're referring to. You sent that message at 6:42. Unless you're talking about this one right here, this big one. If it's the big one you're talking about, that candle was 550 pips. So it's pretty big. You can see price retraced halfway, then it came back down. Whenever you guys see big candles like that, you could always expect some sort of retracement. It doesn't always happen, but most of the time it does, probably 8 out of 10 times. There's at least a retracement halfway before it continues. So here goes, price drops lower. It's going the direction that we were anticipating. It's It's going to take some time to confirm it. So let's see what profits we have here. Kenny said in his profits, he locked in a total of 924. He took the breakout right there. Nice work, Kenny. We have Rashida over here. She locked in a total of 685 total. She took the breakout over here as well. Nice work. Another sell here for NASDAQ too. So great work right there, Rashida. Kenny over here. Nice profits, Kenny. Charles over here said in his profits, he took the breakout, small partial move, took in a total profit of 351. Nice work, Charles. Other than that, I think that's it. If you guys have any more profits to send in, feel free. Otherwise, we will be looking for the next possible entry here. So as price drops right here, this is cool because it's starting to set up a liquidity, area of liquidity right there. So if it retraces up a little bit, like it looks like it's going to, let me just measure this to see how big this gap is. Yeah, it looks like this could be a liquidity push coming up. Not yet, but yeah, so I wouldn't consider this a liquidity push, guys. It's just dropping a little lower. You have to wait for a couple candles to pass because it needs to establish that low before it actually, creates liquidity. It can't be just like one candle. So here goes, price drops lower. It's hitting this lower level right here. And this thing's playing out just like I was kind of anticipating. I wish I would have held that sell earlier, but it's dropping just like I thought, because I don't see the economy getting any better. So price is starting to drop further. I don't recommend anyone chase this though, because price can easily just retrace back up. I think this gap right here is too big for a liquidity push. If it was on the higher time frame, it might have been okay. So let me just go over here real quick. Oh, so here's the markup I drew yesterday, guys, or not yesterday, but last week. So you guys remember this markup that I marked up on Friday? This was a daily chart. I mentioned that price is going to retrace up to this point before coming down, and look where price retraced to, exactly that point. So I didn't touch this markup from Friday. This is when the retracement was happening. I mentioned this retracement wasn't going to pull too far back, maybe halfway of the move, and that's exactly where it went. Now it's coming back down. So I'll probably be looking for sells all week, because it does look like it's going to keep dropping, and this markup is what I showed you guys on Friday. So let me just go back to like the 15 or something. I think this might be where the liquidity was sitting that we're currently experiencing right now. Yeah, it was. So here's the liquidity that we're seeing right now getting hit on the 1 minute. So as you can see, I drew this up on the 15, and that's where it hit from. Right there, this area of liquidity. So if you were to take this trade on the 15, it would have been okay, because you would have taken it for a pretty solid move, basically to the next level. It's probably going to drop further and hit this point right here. It's typically, if I'm taking liquidity pushes on the 15, I like to round it to either the 100 or the 100 or the 50s. So like basically in 50-point increments. So for example, here, the next push over here would be down here for 150. It'd be too far because we try to go for that next level. So for this, I probably would have shot for about 1,000 pips, and that it would have hit TP. So I've been experimenting with these liquidity pushes on the higher time frames. You just have to adjust the TP stop loss. And I go in 50-point increments. So like right here, I go to 100 because 150 wouldn't reach this level here. This number would be below it. I just rounded down, and that's where I would have taken it. So, you guys can play around with it. It just depends on the time frame. I like the 15 for the bigger moves for liquidity. I think the 15, 10 are good. Obviously, the 1 is always going to be everyone's favorite because there's more entries. But I feel like the 15 and the 10 are going to be pretty solid. I'll probably cover this in the mentoring session later if you guys want me to cover it. But I've been playing around with other time frames to see what are good sweet spots for entries. Here's a 10-minute chart. I'm going to go ahead and mark up the liquidity here on the 10-minute. I don't see anything on the 1 minute. As you guys can see right here, price retraced back up. This is why I was warning you guys not to take any sells, because price is now swinging right back to the upside. At this point, I'm going to wait for it to come back down, and then I'll be ready to take some sells when we do get that retracement signal. So here we are on the 10-minute. I'm going to go ahead and mark up the liquidity from the higher time frame. So I'll go from the daily down to the 10. All right, so we have one right there, there. And if you guys have the indicators, you guys can see how easy it is to mark up this liquidity. It doesn't really take too much work. You're just lining up the lines with where these high lows are plotted. 8 hour, 4 hour. Two hour, 1 hour. $30-minute. $15-minute and the 10-minute. All right, so we got this marked up there. $10-minute, and looks like we're good here. So as you guys can see on these higher time frames, you guys can see there's a ton of liquidity sitting on the bottom. So we probably expect these liquidity areas to get hit sometime this week. Not all of them, but a good amount. So you guys can see there's like no liquidity on the top side, but there's a ton on the bottom right here. Like this whole area is probably going to get hit by this week. Price drops lower, a lot of volume right there. And I think if price just keeps hitting these areas, it's just going to keep dumping even further. So there's a lot of liquidity sitting on the bottom. So just keep an eye out for that. That's why I like to have the 10-minute marked up with the higher time frames, and then the 1 minute I have with the shorter time frames, so that I can take trades in, I mean, basically any position. So it looks like price is now ranging again at this point. It's just retracing. Now that we have this buy signal here, we can start to possibly look for any pending sell entries, because we do have that buy that's closed off there. So other than that, we do have news coming up shortly at 7. Thanks, Maddie, for confirming. And that's going to be something to look out for. Yeah, it looks like some of you guys here took these 10-minute snipes. So there's a couple snipes here that came up. I'm going to turn off the sessions just to clean it up a little bit. But yeah, there was a couple snipes right here that you guys could have taken. Looks like some of you guys did take it. There is actually... Yeah, because it looks like there's a lot of areas of projection right here. Yeah, there are actually a lot of snipes here that could have been taken. So there's 2 right there, 3 actually. Yeah, so there's about, so 1 snipe right there hit full TP, the one next to it following candle, another snipe full TP. This candle right here as well, snipe full TP. So 3 snipes back to back full TP, and then this one right here as well, which I probably wouldn't have taken because it's kind of overextended, but it might come down and hit this full TP as well. Because I do expect it to continue dropping, even lower at this point. But we'll see. So I'll just leave that up right there, and we'll see if it comes down and hits. But other than that, it's a bit of a tricky market right now because there's no clear direction. There's no variations right here or any entries that I can personally see myself. I'm gonna mark this up right here as a low. So it's starting to build up. I guess you could consider it liquidity. That is pending sell signal here. This would technically be a pivot scalp, but I don't know. I think it'd be a bit risky to take because there's no direction. The price is just bouncing back and forth as we can see it here. There's no obvious direction. Like I do think price is going to come down long term, but the direction here is not really clear. If we had a bias, then yeah, great. I would take some trades and I would look for certain trades. But currently right now, it's kind of just like, I don't know, tricky. See, this candle here would be too big. We have a pivot scalp here come up, but it'd be too big. So if it does retrace up, like this candle here is too big, it's going to retrace up either halfway of this candle. And if that happens, it's probably gonna hit your stop loss before it, hits your TP. So that's why you want to be careful. Like even though you take a pivot scalp here, you still need to keep taking into consideration the red flags because your stop loss is 300 pips. If this candle here is like 600 pips and it retraces halfway, it's going to hit your stop loss before it hits your TP. So, and it's too close to news as well. So something that I would definitely just wait on. So again, right there, there'd be no pivot scalp anyways to begin with. We do have news coming up right here in about 2 minutes. Oh yeah, so Maddie over here identified this as a V3. I'm not sure if anyone caught that, but it's too close to news. So there was a V3 right here that's technically running. Hasn't hit TP yet. But it's too close to news. Just keep in mind, guys, like today is Monday. You have a whole week ahead of you. So I don't really recommend people force any trades. I mean, if you guys want to take something risky, or if you guys have FOMO, just take it with a smaller lot size. Don't take it with the full lot size because the market's just setting up for the week. So today's Monday. We still have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to take trades. I took one trade for the breakout, made a quick profit. I'm pretty satisfied with that, especially on a risky day like this. Looks like that V3 might be hitting Maddie. Yeah, full TP off that V3. I'm not going to count the trade because I didn't take it, obviously, but I'm just showing you guys that a V3 did come up right here. One thing that we couldn't really confirm was the overall bias, but we can somewhat confirm that because looking at retail sentiment right here, although it's not very strong, if you go for a weaker bias, it's still 51% long. So you're still looking for sells here. It's not strong though. So it's not like, okay, you're going to definitely take some sells. But looking over here at the fundamentals, this is where it does kind of push it over because its fundamentals are lined up. It's down 100 points. This is still indicating a sell. It's not very strong, but if you line this up with the fundamentals and then you line it up with the technicals, we do have a sell bias. Price is below the pivots, trend meters red, technicals are for a sell. Fundamentals here are down 100 points. This confirms a sell. The only thing here that doesn't confirm fully is going to be the retail sentiment, but this is fine because if it's 50-50 like this, it can go either direction. But if you have the confirmation of fundamentals, it's going to align with our sell direction. So, and this is why you want to be super careful because news came up and look where price is going. It's pushing right back up. Thanks, Peter, for confirming that. Peter confirmed that the news was positive. So let's go over here to the Forex Factory calendar real quick. The news right now on Monday, it was right here, pending home sales, refresh that. It was positive. So they were anticipating it to be negative, lower, but it's actually positive. So that's a little good for the economy, but it's not going to make a big difference. It's up like less than a percent. It's just positive for now, but price may come back down. So this is just a push to the upside due to news, but I wouldn't be surprised if price just comes right back down right after. So it's just a news move right there. I'm going to mark up news price. So we got news price right there. Take this off to clean it up a bit. Drag this lower. So right there. Go over here to the clean chart. It's going to update the news price right there. Update the liquidity below there. Let me see if there's any other liquidities here that I'm missing. That one. And that one. All right, so Now that price has moved at least 30 minutes into the market, you guys can kind of see the direction now. So market opened right here at 6:30. Price dropped. Now it's ranging. So it's created a range down here. There was a bigger range. This was the high. And this was the low. Now it's created a smaller range. Now this is the high and this is the low. So this is perfectly fine. We want this to continue ranging right here. If it pushes up higher, that's fine. It's just going to push this up a little higher. And you can see right there, that candle did push it up. So this high here is just going to get pushed up a bit. But it's still the same range, right? We typically want it to be a tighter range because it'll prepare for a breakout. But if the range gets wider, we just have to wait for it to get tighter before that breakout will happen. Otherwise, you guys are gonna get trapped in this back and forth movement right here. And you really don't wanna be stuck in that because, this range here is kind of wide. If you measure this low from this high, it's 820 pips. So if you get caught in this range here and your stop loss is 300 pips, you can easily get kicked out of these trades. So let's keep that in mind. This range got pushed up a little higher, not too high, just a little higher. Right there. Let's go back to the the markup chart over here. See if we can find a direction. This is actually fine. I like price to push up like this because this is giving us some more room to look for a downwards push. So I'm going to take this off until we figure out where price is going. This looks like a push. It's still a continuation for news reaction to the news, or price reaction to the news. So as you guys can see right here, the news came up at 7. It was positive news and price is still pushing up. This is a reaction to the news. I don't recommend chasing this because I think this is just based off the news and I think it'll come back down. So keep that in mind how it's looking right here. That was based off this news event at 7 o'clock. So this news event came out at 7 o'clock. It was positive news. It's 7:04. 4 minutes have passed. Price is pushing up, but I don't expect it to hold. I expect it to come back down. Yeah, Peter said back to open. Possibly. Or it might just reject off the sessions right here. Or this high. If this doesn't break this high right here, then it's just creating an area of liquidity. Because if it does stop right there, it would create an area of liquidity right there. So what you'd be looking for is if this happens, wait for it to retrace a little bit. And then if it comes back up, then I could expect it to finally, make a bigger push to the upside. So back to open. That's where I would see the back to open happening. Yeah, Maddie said they're stacking buyers. It's 52% long, 53% long now. So as you guys can see here from the retail sentiment, a lot of people are chasing that buy. I recommend nobody chases that buy because as this number here increases, price is just going to tumble right back down. And it might happen right about now. So let's see. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. They're just stacking buyers. They're basically just luring people to buy. Because, there's a ton of people out there who are buying the dip, which I don't recommend anybody do right now. And as soon as they have enough buyers, they're going to dump price right back down. And those same people who chase that buy are going to be in some massive drawdown. It's a long push down. It's like 1,000 pips. And there we go. As price makes its way back down. Or I might just range up here. Who knows? Price with a range up here will drop right back down. But I definitely would not be looking for any buys here. When price pushes up like this, I just wait for the retracement back down. This would have been a nice V1 if it closed same level or double wick, but it didn't, so no entry there. Let's see, Akil said 10-minute chart is looking interesting. So let me just take this off right here. Clean this up a little. Let me just take all this stuff off. I'm not looking at taking snipes right now because the market is moving kind of crazy, but I want to clean it up as well. So yeah, the 10-minute is looking kind of interesting right here, as Akil mentioned, because it is pushing back up pretty heavily off this candle, but you can see where it's rejecting from. So price did push up here off the 10. Price came up. Now it just rejected directly off the pivots right there. And if you just go back and see when that happens, like for example, right here, when price crossed over to the upside, it comes back down, retest the pivots, and then it continues up higher. Same with what's happening right here. Price has shifted to the downside for a sell. It's coming back for the retracement right here, and then we could expect it to come back down further. One thing to keep in mind is that liquidity is now being established right here. So with liquidity being established right there, it's gonna be about 300 pips. This can drop pretty heavily if, you know, it does hit that point. So if price does hit this area of liquidity, I mean, just be prepared for a drop, because if price comes down and hits this area, it's going to hit another area of liquidity. And then it's going to drop down even further. So something to, you know, obviously look out for there. But nothing for us to take at the moment. So this is why I was telling you guys not to chase the buy. If you guys chase the buy, you'd be burnt right now, because price is not coming right back down. I'm only looking for sells, guys. Like, even if the buy shifts to the buy side, I'm probably not even going to look for any buys, because I do see that as becoming, you know, just temporary. Going over here to the retail sentiment, let's see if people are still in it. It was 53% long. It's now 52%. If this drops to 51%, just expect that people got, their accounts got blown, or they just lost a big trade, because when this number changes, this indicates how many retail traders are on one side or the other. So if you see this number here get smaller, it's probably because they got stopped out. They tried to chase the buy here, price came down, they couldn't handle the margin. I mean, I probably wouldn't be able to handle the margin either if it drops down that much. It's already dropped down 770 pips. Like, I could only imagine how far. Yeah, it's still dropping. And being down and draw down 1,000 pips on a 10 lot, that's 10,000 drawdown. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, this is what I was telling you guys. You know, Mondays is typically a tricky day, but with these market conditions, obviously it makes it even harder. That's why I don't really take too much risk on Monday. Monday and Fridays are usually my lower risk days. I usually pick it up on Tuesday, Wednesday, even Thursday in some instances. And that's where I make my bigger profits, or I take more trades. All right, so we got the low established here. I see the market trying to give these buyers some hope. So I see it pushing up a little bit, and then I see it coming right back down and just shooting right through here. Professor said another 10-minute snipe. Yeah, possibly. There. Yeah, there's another 10-minute snipe that's coming up right there, guys, but I'm not really looking to take any of these riskier trades. I wouldn't consider them riskier. I wouldn't look to take any of these higher time frame trades, because the volatility is kind of lower right now. So the last thing I want to do is take this snipe here. Not to say that the snipe is a bad trade, but I would hate to take the snipe and then volatility dies down and I'm stuck carrying the snipe for like hours, right? Because I'm sure you guys have seen that before, where you end up taking a bigger trade and it just ends up going sideways for a while. But who knows? It might just come and hit TP. Like, there is a snipe right there, if you guys are wondering. Thanks, Professor, for bringing that up. 10-minute snipe strategy. There. Here's the 1 minute. As I mentioned, it's coming back down. So if I was to look for any trades, I personally would be looking for some sells here. One thing that I would like is if there was a pending sell signal, because then I could be, anticipate that momentum push lower. But who knows? Yeah, Maddie said might get a smaller retracement up and green signal. Yeah, I could see that too, Maddie. That's kind of what I would be looking for personally. I like when there's a pending sell signal because that usually indicates that you can cash at least 100 pips pretty easily. Because if you guys look at all of these sell signals right here, like whenever they come up, they're at least 100 pips, right? So if you have a pending sell signal, you're just waiting for it, and it spikes down, you can easily catch 100 pips. So just something to keep in mind. That's why I like waiting for those pending signals. So if you look here, pending sell signal, like say, for example, you're looking for a sell, but you don't have a sell signal there yet. When the sell signal does come, it usually blasts right through your TP. But right now, I find it to be a little too risky. See if there's anything else for me to look at right here. Yeah, not really too much. Looks like price is starting to create a smaller range. There's not too much right here right now. 3 minute, everything looks like the sell though. 3 minute looks like the sell. I mean, not like a straight sell, but it looks like it's coming down further. Same with the 5. Same with the 10. Everything here is like in a downtrend. Let's try to see if there's anything else here. So here we go. As price just continues to bounce back up and down. Yeah, there's not really much right now. The only thing that I can see that's currently running would be that snipe. But as you can see, it's not really a smooth move down. This is what I would hate to get caught in. If you end up taking a snipe and then it just ends up going sideways for like an hour. Because typically you want it to hit within the first, couple, like 30 minutes or so. But this is probably gonna move sideways for a bit. Yeah, Maddie said he's using the 10 minute as a confluence. Me too. I'm using the same thing. I'm not in this position here, but I'm using this as a confluence. So if I see any good 1 minute entries, I'll be taking a sell because I do see price still coming back down. This can still push back and forth, but overall in the 1 minute, I'm looking for it to provide some sort of retracement. Basically a buy signal come up, and then I'm expecting it to come right back down. Yeah, same here. Maddie said if I see a 1 minute entry, I'll take it while the 10 minute is currently running. Same. But nothing right now. One thing I want to take note of there, the forex pairs. I've started trading intraday forex, so like I'm just looking at like what's the bias. So let me just update my list over here real quick. I'm looking for anything with a 70% bias or more. So let's see, your JPY, looking to sell, buy that. USC JPY, buy. Odd USD, sell. GBP, USD. So basically all the US pairs looks like they're sells. That's about it. So I'm looking for buys for EJ, buys for UJ, sells for odd USD, and sells for GU. So as this continues to move around, I'm gonna take a look at these forex pairs over here. I have this marked out from earlier. I didn't take it myself, but I do see it continuing to push. It's like the news is kind of done already with it as well. 62 pip move. Let me check your JPY. Same with this one right here. Looks like this already hit TP though. Yeah, I would have to wait for the retracement here. EJ already hit TP. Odd USD. Looking for any possible sells here. There's no trend meter matching it, so nothing for AUD USD, GBP USD. Same with this. There's no sell. All right, so back to US30. I don't see any trades there for forex right now. I will be looking for USD JPY though. I was thinking about entering this earlier, but I didn't. I'd want it to come back down to entry though. Yeah, I'll be giving away like 7 pips if I enter late. So I'll come back and take a look at this later. If anything, this would probably be my entry that I'll be holding on to for a bit because we don't have any news coming up for a while. I think what I'll do here is I'll just set a buy limit. $62. 5% risk. And I probably won't hold it for the full move. I'll probably pull out. I'll come back and take a look at that. But yeah, taking this for about one standard lot forex. I'll come back to that later. So there goes a 1 minute right there. Yeah. So this is like, here's like something that a pattern that I typically, I mean, I don't always apply it, but I do apply it sometimes. It's more of a riskier trade. It's kind of like a speculative entry. Yeah, I totally missed it. Basically, if I have a strong bias that price is coming down and I have a buy signal like this, I will typically enter a sell as soon as this closes. Because you can see price comes all the way back down. Yeah, if this closes right here, this could possibly be a triple confluence like Maddie said. It's about 9 seconds in though. It doesn't look like it's going to close, unfortunately. That would have been good if it did close. But what I was just saying earlier, guys, is typically, and this isn't a strategy that we apply. This is just some pattern that I do identify a lot of the times. If you have a strong bias for a sell and you get an opposite signal, like a retracement signal that we're looking for here, typically the following candle will drop at least 100 pips. So what I would typically do is if I see a buy signal like this, and I'm definitely looking for a sell, I would enter a sell to close of that candle, and I would just scalp it down real quick for 100 pips, and that would have hit TP. That's something that I typically, and you guys will start to see a lot of this stuff because now, if you guys saw my message yesterday in the group, I've opened up one-on-one mentoring sessions. So if you guys remembered, I used to do one-on-one mentoring sessions last year or 2 years ago, and I stopped doing it because I just wanted to focus on trading. Now that we're entering the summer session again, market's getting kind of slow. So I can kind of mentor you guys since I don't want to trade during Asia session anymore. When the market's slow during summer, I don't like trading during Asia because you'll get caught in the trade and you'll be stuck holding it for like the entire night. So I'll probably be holding mentoring sessions one-on-one, and you'll see that when I have mentoring sessions with other people, they typically ask me questions like, what are other things that I look for? And this is one of the things that I do look for. And I'll probably be discussing this with like certain people who are more on the advanced side. So if you guys have access to the K2 indicators and the K2 strategies, you guys are entitled to a 1 hour one-on-one mentoring session with me. So just, I'll send out a link for you guys to book and your sessions. And you guys will see more mentoring sessions, throughout the year. Typically I do it once a week, but now that summer started, I'll be holding that open for you guys for a limited time. Once the market picks up again, I'm going to cut off mentoring sessions for one-on-one because I'll be trading Asia session again. So yeah, use it while you guys can. But anyways, back to the charts over here. We don't really see much going on at the moment. Price is just ranging back and forth. Again, zoom out from here. So just looking at the chart right here, you guys can see how messy it is, right? It's a huge range. Like the range, this is pretty much the range right here. Let me just mark it up for you guys. This is pretty much the range right here. Price is just going back and forth, back and forth. It's a range of 1,340 pips. So with a range that big, it's easy for you guys to get stopped out depending on how wide your stop loss is. Volatility is still up during New York session. You'll see during Asia session, market will kind of die down a bit. So it's gonna be harder to take trades during Asia, especially with the wider spread. So I think we have a couple other things here. Yeah, Kevin said I do that all the time too, Sean. I trade a lot of patterns. US30 repeats the same patterns over and over every day. Yeah, exactly. That's what I see here. This might not be as easy for a lot of you guys to see, but for me, it's pretty simple. This is a V1 right here. It looks like it might close. The more and more that you guys trade, a certain pair, you guys will start to see a lot of patterns just repeat itself. It's typical. Possible V1 right there, double body. Let's see where it ends up closing in the next couple of seconds. Peter said there's news coming up in 7 minutes. I'll take a look at that. I mean, any news could affect the market. It's just, it just depends on how much it'll affect it. But typically, I think that could affect it somewhat. So let me check real quick, my FX book. I should probably check both of these. So we do have news coming up shortly, 6 minutes, Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index. This will probably affect it a bit, but not like a crazy amount. So there's a V1 right there. If you guys take the V1 right here, just hit full TP. I actually took it myself, guys. Sorry, I was going to tell you guys that I was going to take it, but I just, when I switched to the my FX book, I just hit sell on my DOM because I knew it was going to close within a couple seconds. So if you guys took it, great. I'm not going to count it as a trade. I just wanted to show you guys that there was a V1 that was coming up right there. It's kind of difficult to really call these trades because, as I mentioned before, the V1 requires an overall bias, which we don't have. I mean, we do have an overall bias, but it's not very strong. Looking over here. So that trade's not going to count, but we were anticipating that V1. That's why I marked it up there. And as soon as I switched screens, I hit sell on my DOM just to let it run. I don't like thinking about my trades. Whenever I take a trade, guys, I kind of just take the trade and I don't really think about it. I think the main things here, so obviously the main things are going to be the overall bias. It can be strong or it can be weak. But I think the biggest thing to look out for would be the pending momentum. This is going to be like your game changer right here. Because as I mentioned, whenever you see a sell signal and you're only going for 100 pips, you're going to hit that 100 pips almost every time. And it's like what me and Kevin were just talking about. There's like, for example, even this is an invalid sell signal. If you were to take this for 100 pips, it would still hit your TP before it even swung back up. So even like if you measure any of these sell signals here, no matter if they're valid, invalid, they still push like at least 100 pips. Enough for you to get in and out super quickly. Like this one right here, maybe not as much because it was like a dead period during, pre-market, but it did end up pushing further. So if you're looking for these sell signals during New York session, you'll probably catch the 100 pips at the very least. Again, right here, look at this sell signal that's coming up. It hits at least 100 pips. So if you're taking an entry and then you have a pending sell signal, you're going to catch those 100 pips really easily. For this over here. Let's see. Akil's asking, wasn't this too close to sessions? I don't think it was close. I mean, it was close, but not that close. Let me measure real quick. I think it was far enough. It's like 200 pips away from it. Akil. And the thing is, we're not trading for a buy. If we were trading for a buy, then yeah, I wouldn't have taken the trade, but we're trading for a sell. So if we were going for a buy, then yeah, for sure I wouldn't take that because that'd make it a lot tighter, right? So if you're going for a buy at that point, and you're going for 100 pips, then yeah, that'd be too close. But since we're going for a sell, we're going away from it. Oh, gotcha, Kel. Yeah, if it's going away from the sessions and it's going the direction of your trade, I typically take it. I just don't take it if it's going towards the session. So if we're going for a buy here, then I wouldn't take it. But if we're going for a sell, it's not as bad because it's pushing away from these sessions. And you can kind of see right here, this is another pattern that you guys might not see, but I kind of see myself. You can see where the highs are. It's like the same pattern, right? Price comes up, close to the sessions, comes back down. Price comes up right here, close to the sessions, comes back down. So again, right here, price got close to the sessions. What was I expecting? I was expecting price to come back down. It's just the same pattern that comes down. Like these patterns don't have to have a name for them. It's just identifying it right there. It's basically like a triple top. or this would be a double top and this was getting close to it. So there's a lot of these little things that you guys will start to identify. Like this is why it's important that you guys draw these high lows here and you guys draw like basically all these lines, because you guys can see a lot of patterns just kind of building up as price continues to move along. Rashida said, so before the candle closes, I took it when it closed, Rashida. So as soon as it closed right here, I was looking over, I forgot what I was looking at my FX book. And then as soon as the candle closed, I just hit sell. Because the thing is I have two screens. So I have this screen here and I also have MC4. So I can look at my MC4 screen and see how the candle is moving. All I needed to look for was that to make sure that the candle was red. Because if the candle closes red, it would still be a double body. Right? So if I was basically what I did when I went to the other screen was I was looking at my MT4 and I saw that it would close as a red candle. And if it closed as a red candle, the double body would be established. If it was a green candle, it'd be a different story because price would be above here and it wouldn't be a double body. But I do wait for it to close. I never enter it before close. Or if I do enter it before close, it'd be like 1 or 2 seconds before. But it would have to close for my entry to be valid. So that's how I would do it. Let's see. Patrick said 25% profit reached on day 1 of a new 200K challenge. I'm out. Definitely, Patrick. And that's good to hear. You just need another 75%. You're done with that challenge. So yes, we're still having our group mentoring session today at 2. I have another mentoring session one-on-one with Peter today, I believe, at tomorrow. Sorry, I'll have to check my calendar. Yeah, we have our mentoring session, our normal mentoring session today at 2. And then tomorrow at 12:30, I have a mentoring session with Peter for our one-on-one. So that will also be recorded. If you guys want to sit in and just watch it, but that's going to be one-on-one with Peter. I think we're going to be covering the V3s during the London session. So if you guys are interested in that, I think it'll be beneficial for you guys to just sit in and watch. Let's see, anything else here? Jennifer said, thanks, Sean. Glad to be back. See you tomorrow. Definitely, Jennifer. We'll see you tomorrow. Other than that, I think that's it for right now. So guys, today we are having our normally scheduled mentoring session. I'm still having the group mentoring sessions, even though I'm doing the one-on-ones. The one-on-ones are just going to be additional on top of it. So today at 2 p.m., we're having our K2 group mentoring session. If you guys want to ask questions, feel free to ask questions there. The one-on-ones are mainly for people with specific questions or for people that are too scared to ask questions during the mentoring sessions, right? There's still people that are scared to ask questions during the group session. So I think the the one-on-ones would be easier for them to kind of get their questions across. Anyways, there's liquidity getting built up right here on the bottom. The only problem with this is that it's getting close to the news price down here. So I don't know if I'd be able to, or not that I'd be able to, that I'd want to take it. Alexander said, will it be recorded and available to watch later? Yeah, it'll be available. So the one-on-one sessions are basically the same as the group mentoring sessions, guys. It's just that I'm answering questions from like just one person. They'll be able to speak, so it's going to be pretty much all audio for the most part. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's just like more zoned in onto like what that person needs help with. Let's see, some profits over here by you guys. Nice work, guys. So Patrick over here sent in his profits. He locked in a total profit of 16,297. Nice work, Patrick. Kenny over here sent in some profits as well, locked in a total of 1,190. Nice work, Kenny. Harry over here as well, locked in a total profit of 2,121. Great work, Harry. And Kenny again over here for 1,190. So great work, guys. You guys did pretty good today for a Monday. Cameron over here as well, locked in his profits. Yeah, nice day over here for him. Locked in a total profit of 5,204. So nice work right there, Cameron. Solid start to the week. Yeah, so that's good, man. I'm glad to see a lot of you guys here locking in some profits. You know, some profit is better than no profit on a Monday because this will help you guys start off on a better note. But the thing is, so this is good when you see on over here sending your profits as well. 3,072, nice. Looks like you're back on TFF. I think this is TFF. Um, but yeah, this is best case scenario. You start off on a good week, but if you start off with losses, it's going to set you in a hole for the week, right? So that's why I always recommend that you guys be careful with your entries on a Monday, because the thing is, if you start off with losses in the week, you're going to be in a bad moral mindset for the rest of the week, right? Because you're basically trying to recoup your losses from Monday. It's good when you guys are in a win, but you know the days aren't always going to be that great on Monday. So I mean, great to see a lot of you guys here profiting. But I would still be a bit careful when you guys do take these trades. So especially when the market is ranging like this, if it's moving directional to the downside, then great, easy to take sells, or directional to the upside, easy to take buys. When price is going sideways like this, I think this is a bit of a risk, because you never really know when price is going to retrace up or retrace down or pull against you. Yeah, no, exactly. Maddie said on Mondays, you should just take what you can get or just end the day with no trades, which means zero losses. And I agree with you, Maddie, 100%. That's why like today I took like one or two trades, some solid profit, but you know, I'm not feeling the greed to keep going. Yeah, no problem, Alexander. So definitely. But yeah, guys, if you guys want to schedule your one-on-one with me, I'll send out this calendar lead later today. Just make sure that you guys have questions when we have these one-on-ones, because you guys are only entitled to one session. There's a lot of you guys here. So, I mean, there's like over 100 of you guys. So if I have to have a session with everybody, you know, I'm not gonna have time to have a second session with you guys. So just make sure that when you guys do set up the one-on-one with me, make sure that you guys have actual questions, so that we can zone in on what you guys need help on. But otherwise, the group mentoring sessions are still happening every week. So should be fine. Question from Eduardo. Eduardo's asking, Sean, on TradingView, we have multiple double bodies on MT4. They're almost never the same. Should we be using TradingView or MT4? I would use TradingView, Eduardo. I don't use MT4 for any charting at all. I just use it to enter and exit my trades. I do all my charting on TradingView. So I would personally use TradingView. Yeah, no problem. And that's the same reason. You already identified the problem, right? If you look on MT4, you'll probably never see any double bodies, but you'll see it a lot more on TradingView. So like, for example, here, the one that we took up here, I don't know if this was even a double body on. Yeah, it actually wasn't. So I'm looking at MT4 and it actually wasn't a double body. So that's a good catch that you identified, Eduardo. So I'm looking at the same candle. All right, so price isn't really doing much. As you guys can see, it's just creating a smaller range right here. These are like the worst markets to trade in, especially in the summer when the market starts to get slower, because you get caught in like random movements. Here's a clean chart. Let me go ahead and just mark this up, or clean it up actually. So we got a couple areas of liquidity here that have not been updated. There we go. So price is in range right here. Not really much going on. Let's see if there's anything else here. So nothing here off the 1 minute. Going back to the 10-minute over here. This is why I don't want to take any of these snipes that we were just discussing, guys. The market is just ranging too much and the range is too wide, especially here. You can see it better here on the 10. You guys can see the huge wicks. And these wicks are really big. So if you measure the wicks here, these wicks are like almost 500 pips. Not that one specifically, but this one's like over 500 pips. This one's close to it. Same with this one. Typically you want to be careful when you have these huge wicks because you really have no clear direction. But from looking at these wicks here, you guys can see where it's rejecting from. It's rejecting from the pivot. So I'm expecting there to be a big drop at some point this week. So once price finally pushes away from these pivots, I expect it to drop down pretty heavily, probably hit this liquidity, and then it'll retrace up a little bit and then come back down further. So I'm just waiting for it to push away from these pivots. And you guys can see from over here whenever that happens. Like for example, here price kept touching the pivots over here, and then it finally pushed away. Comes back down for the retracement, and then pushes up even harder. The same pattern that I'm marking up right here, just in the opposite direction. It's just a reversal pattern. Let's see, Maddie said, saw pending sell, caught some profits with slippage giving less on the 1 minute. Gotcha. Yeah, so like what I was just telling you guys again right here, look at this red candle right here, the sell signal. It goes for at least 100 pips. Yep, easily. So 100 pips right there. Say, for example, you saw a sell entry here. I know there's no sell entry here, but say, for example, if you did see a sell entry at this point and you try to take 100 pips somewhere here, right? Pushes down at least 100 pips to hit your TP. So that's why I use 100 pips as a good threshold. It's a good scalp number to get in and out. Yeah, Maddie said it definitely an advanced way of trading. Need to know when to enter and when not to. Yeah, and I agree, Maddie. So this is not going to be an entry for me right here, guys, but I'll show you guys another one right here. I don't want you guys to take this. I just want to show you guys an example of like how I would identify. Because if we get this buy signal right here, I'm expecting it to come down at least 100 pips at some point. So this wouldn't be an entry at this point, but I was saying like, you know, if you have some sort of sell entry, like I'll wait for right here. If this closes as a, because this could possibly be a V1 or there's no V1 there. If this came down lower, this might have been a V1 if it closed red, because the bodies, this would be a double body right here. Or it might actually, never mind. It's a little bit lower. Nice. Kenny said he reached his profit target. Nice work, Kenny. Your profit target for the day or for your challenge, Kenny? Did you pass your challenge in one day? Or maybe just your profit target for the day? Your profit target is maybe 1,000 for the day, right? Because I think this is a 100K count or maybe 200K. Yeah, either or. Either way, great work, Eddie. Sorry, that was my yawn. It's a boring market. Okay, so you can see how your price is coming back down, but there's no entry for me to take. Man. I was thinking that, okay, so never mind. If price pushed up right there, that would have been a double wick, but it didn't push up right there. It actually pushed up higher. So yeah, it's pushing up right here. All right, I don't really like how these candles are moving. They're kind of just ranging now, like a smaller, even smaller range. Possible V1 right here, maybe. Kill's asking Sean, can you explain the new method again? Which method are you talking about, Kill? So what I'm just telling you guys right here, this is why I try not to tell you guys things, because you guys take it too literal, where you guys consider a new method. It's not a new method. It's just something that you guys identify. So if you're talking about like where I take the trades when there's like a buy signal or something like that, Yeah, let's just leave it at that. Yeah, and I agree with you, Manny. So guys, I'm trying to show you guys like these more advanced methods that I've been using. They're not new methods. They're just advanced ways of trading. When you see these little patterns, um, I'm probably going to leave it at that and not talk about it more, guys, because I don't want you guys to be blowing accounts trying to do stuff that you guys are not ready for. So, Kill, sorry that I mentioned that to you, but just don't use that. I'll show you here that this would have hit TP. So this is the method I was talking about. So I said if you get like a buy signal, you can take it for like 100 pips, and you can see right here that the 100 pips did hit, and it hit full TP. But I don't want you guys to be using this. Yeah, sorry that I mentioned it to you guys. There's just a lot of things like there's a lot of advanced ways that I personally look at the market using the K2 indicators that I know how to use because I just see these patterns every time. It's the same thing that like what Kevin does, right? Kevin will take like a bunch of trades and he'll like, you know, you guys have seen his profits. He does the same thing I do. It's just that he's able to see it the same way I do, not like, you know, others. This is kind of stuff that we don't really think about. It's like we see it on the chart. Like for example, here, he can take all of these trades here and they'll all hit because we kind of see the same pattern in the market. But it's not something that I really want people to use too much unless you really know what you're doing. Because for example, right here, if you got greedy and you didn't pull out at 100 pips, you would have been some massive drawdown. So, yeah, Kill, if you want to discuss this, like maybe in a one-on-one session, I don't want to discuss this with like the general public because I don't want people to try to mimic what I'm doing and then blow their accounts because they don't really know what they're doing. So, yeah, Patrick said that reverse momentum hit, like you said, Sean. Yeah, definitely, Patrick. And that's exactly what I was trying to get across to you guys. It's basically, it's a more advanced way of trading the momentum pullback strategy. So if you guys are, or if you guys have access to the strategies, let me pull up the course real quick. So on the course, there's this strategy called the momentum pullback strategy. That strategy gives an idea of like what I'm doing, but it's more of a quick way of trading it because it's more for scalping, not for intraday. But let me just pull up the course real quick if you guys want to go back and rewatch it. It's a really old video. I don't really apply it that way anymore. It still works though, but so here's what the off real quick. Here's what the course looks like. If you guys pull down over here to the momentum pullback, it's basically what I'm applying, but it's just taken at a different time. So if you scroll down a little further, it's called the K2 Trades Momentum Pullback Strategy. It's basically this strategy here, but I'm doing it on a quicker, like just basically a quicker scalp. There's different ways of doing it. A lot of these strategies here, guys, there's like different ways to apply them. It's just, it just depends on like if you're scalping or if you're trading intraday, but this would be the intraday version of it. You guys want to go back and look at that. Other than that, I don't really see anything else for us to take right now. Yeah, Alexander said take the V1, stopped out any red flags. Let's see. I'm trying to look at which V1 he took. Was there one over here? Which one did you take, Alexander? I'm trying to see. I don't see a higher. Or you might have taken this one here. Is this one you're referring to? Silver one, yeah. This one right here. So the main red flag here for a V1, or I mean, I don't know if, let me see the fundamentals. I don't think the fundamentals are, yeah, the fundamentals aren't even bearish right now. So that'd probably be one of the main red flags there. So I know I'm showing you guys like these other entries that we're looking at this point, but the requirements still stand, even though we're looking at like different entries here. Even if you're looking for a weak overall bias, it doesn't have to be like very strong, but you're still looking for some sort of bias. So the main thing that I would probably point out would be the fundamentals. I know we didn't go back and look at it, but I could kind of tell where the fundamentals are sitting because I knew where it was when the market opened. So this is another thing that I don't really look at or need to look at because I could see where price is currently at in this area. I knew that the fundamentals were down 100 points when it was down here. So now that price pushed above here, I kind of felt that price wasn't going to be at that point, and it isn't. So you can see right here, the fundamentals are like they're actually green. So, I mean, I wouldn't really consider that a red flag. I would just consider that skipping a step there because there was no bias. So looking over here, the first bias is retail sentiment, right? We don't have a strong bias there for sentiment. It's currently down 53% long. So this is still indicating a sell, but it's a very, very weak sell. Looking over here for the next step, you confirm the fundamental bias. You look over at the fundamentals. They're actually bullish right now. They're not very bullish, but it is bullish. It's in the green. Either or, you need that to be at least like somewhere in the red to take that specific trade. The next bias here would be technical bias. So for this entry right here, Alexander, typically for it to be a sell bias, price needs to be below the pivots, and also the trend meter should be red. The trend meter was blue at that entry, and it was above the pivot. So a couple, I guess you could consider those red flags. The retail sentiment was okay. Fundamental bias was bullish, and this over here, technical bias, is also not a sell. So that'd probably be the main thing. I mean, other red flags, I don't really see anything else there, but it's just a bias overall that I would have been concerned with, if that makes sense, Alexander. So if you guys are looking for any V1s over here, I'd probably hold off on it because there's no, I mean, everything here is kind of pointing towards bullish right now. This might not be a long-term bullish push, but right now, technically, on the short-term bias, it is bullish because price is above the pivots, trend meter's green. Looking over here at the fundamentals, they're also bullish. The only thing here that's bearish is going to be the sentiment, but this is like more of a long-term. So like right now, I see this being temporary, and I expect it to come back down. So when price comes back below here, or traces up and continues dropping, then at this point right here, I'll be looking for some sells. So let's see. E said, I'm surprised that you said that about the momentum pullback strategy on the 1 minute because I've been doing that for a while now without knowing, LOL. If day has a sell bias, I'll counter every trade with a buy. Yeah, no, exactly. And I do the same thing too, E. You know, like just like E mentioned, E's been applying this for a while too, and they don't even realize that it's something that I apply myself. They're just typical patterns that just keep repeating themselves. You know, the more and more you apply these strategies, the more and more it'll make sense. These indicators are basically, it's basically a cheat code for you guys because it kind of tells you guys where price is going, right? That's why these momentum signals here help identifying where price tends to go and where it's going to go after. Like these retracement signals right here. I always see these retracement signals as like, as basically pullback retracements, and I see price coming back down from there. Let's see, E said, do you only do that strategy when the opposite of bias, or do you do them no matter what? Just curious if you only sell by momentum. Yes, that is correct, E. So I only do that when the bias is strong in one direction. Like, so for example, down here, price was strong in this direction because price was dropping. So like, for example, with this buy signal, this would be a good opportunity to take the sell. Again, with this one right here, it'd be a good opportunity. For right here, it starts to shift. The way that you guys can identify a strong trend is when the pivots are spread out. So you guys can see right here that the reversal happens and the pivots are super spread out right here, right? So like you can apply it right here for this sell. Again, right here, you can apply it for this sell. This is where I wouldn't apply it. So if you go back to this candle over here, the pivots over here are super spread out. If you look at the pivots over here, they're not spread out at all anymore. They're crossing over. So right here is where I would not be applying it anymore because there's no bias for a sell at that point. And same over here with the trade that Alexander took. And we talked about this before, Alexander. I think, did we discuss this last week? I think we talked about it, right? Where I mentioned, because I think you asked me about the pivot scalp strategy or something like that. And I mentioned to look out for the pivots, right? You want to make sure that the pivots are spread out. So for this right here, the pivots aren't spread out. They're crossing over. So I wouldn't take any more sells at this point. When the pivots are spread out here, I would take some sells. The pivots are spread out right here, I would take some sells. Pivots are spread out right here, I would take some buys, you know, et cetera. That's just going to give you a quicker way to identify what the trend is looking like. But you guys can see the difference here. This pivots are spread out, trend meter's red. It's easy to take sells at this point. Pivots are not spread out and the trend meter is blue. That's going to indicate that it's possible reversal happening. And that's exactly what happened right here. So at that point, price reversed up. You can see the pivots here are spread out. So the current bias right now is bullish with regard to the trend, and the trend meter here is green as well. So price is spread out, trend meter is green, price is pushing to the upside. Now what you should be looking for next is for price to come back down, right? And then just shift back in the opposite direction. All right, let me scroll up a little bit, see what else I'm missing. Charles said liquidity up got hit. Yeah, it did. I already took it off though, but it was like somewhere around here, right? Yeah. So the liquidity right here got hit. And then it pushed up to the next area of liquidity. Should be right there. I'm not necessarily looking to take any buys though. So even if price did get hit up in that direction, I probably wouldn't be looking to take it. There's another V1 coming right here, guys, but as I mentioned, it's not one that I'd recommend taking. Going back to the V1s that we were just discussing earlier, just go over the requirements again. First requirement is going to be the main thing, overall bias. Obviously, you can see right here, retail sentiment is for a strong, not a strong, a weak sell. Looking over at the fundamentals, it's currently bullish right now, not very strong, but it is bullish. And looking over at the technical bias. So the first requirement is met. However, the second one and third one is not met. So that's why I wouldn't have taken, even though this would have hit TP. So if you have the first two, great. Third one is going to be the weakest bias, so it's not really always going to be necessary. But for this specific, like something like this, I wouldn't take it. Also, another red flag is that it's right at the opening price. Right here. So I know there's a lot of things to look at, but you know, once you're able to confirm these things without having to think about it, it's going to make a big difference. Like for me, I don't have to really think about it. If you guys could ask me, or if you guys ask me, like what's something to look at here, first thing is going to be overall bias. I could already see these lines here. That's why I keep the lines on the chart to identify where these horizontal lines are, where to avoid trades. Let's see. Alexander said, thanks for explaining that. If we compare this V1 on 641 that we took at 622, the one you took, the difference would be pivots and trend meter, right? Since fundamentals are the same. Let's see, 722. Yes, that is correct. So for this one over here, the difference would have been the pivots and the trend meter. I think we had a sell bias. Well, the fundamentals were kind of down at that point too, right? I mean, I can't remember, honestly. It's hard for us to go back. I wish there was a way to rewind the fundamentals here so that we can see what it was at that time. But I can't really remember like what it was on this. Damn, David lost his 100K. Wait, how'd you lose it, David? Which trade did you take? But yeah, Alexander, back to what we were saying. Yeah, that would be the difference, the pivots in the trend meter. But yeah, David said he lost his 100K account. How'd you lose that, David? I didn't take any trades. Not sure which ones you took. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, Tody said fundamentals were around 0 points at that V1. Thanks, Tody, for confirming that. So yeah, Alexander, Tody just confirmed that at that 722 trade, the fundamentals were like, it was like at about the even point. Yeah, so we weren't looking at the technicals for this trade right here, Alexander. We were looking at the fundamentals and the retail sentiment, because retail sentiment has been sell pretty much all day today. And Kodi confirmed that at that point, the fundamentals were like at about 0. So they're about like, it was bouncing between red and green, but it was like at the 0 point. So those were the two main things. That's what I just referred to earlier. So for the V1 over here, or for the overall bias, we'll just look at this. These are what's really important. Sentiment and the fundamentals. The technicals aren't really that important because they shift very often. So if you have these two right here, these pretty much outweigh the technical bias. So Kodi here confirmed that the fundamentals were at 0 around that point for the first V1, and that's why this would have been okay. Because we don't have an overall, like a strong overall bias, but if you have retail sentiment and fundamentals both kind of in line, that's going to indicate that it is okay to take the sell at that point. So let's just rewind to that real quick. Yeah, so for this right here, we wouldn't have taken it for that. This is the one that we took earlier, right? Another thing that I was looking for at this point when I took this trade was what I discussed earlier, right? We had a triple top right here. So there's different things that you can line up. Like these are like the main confluences that you guys can line up for, but you can always add other confluences to it. Like these are the main things that we were looking for. We had the retail sentiment indicating a sell. We had the fundamentals over here that were like light sells, like maybe 0 or some points in the red. But another confluence here was a triple top. So this is where things come into full picture. Like you guys have the bare basics of like what to look out for. For this here, the bias, this is going to indicate what the bare minimum is, right? So in order for you to take a V1, you need to have somewhat of an overall bias. You need to have sentiment, fundamentals, or technicals. If you have at least 2, that's going to be fine for the overall bias. It's not going to be a strong overall bias, but it's going to be a bias to some extent. So once you have that met, you can move on to the next steps. The other steps here are met, and then you can confirm another confluence here regarding the triple top that I just discussed, or double top, and it lined up with it basically. And this would allow for you to take another one. You know, to make things easier to identify this right here, I could draw a rectangle right there and you can see where it rejects from. Same point, right? I don't necessarily need to draw this because I could see it in my head already just by looking at the chart. I can see there's 3 points right here that bounce off, and that gave me another confluence to take the trade there. So for one, if you have somewhat of an overall bias, you can take it. But the main thing here is just using other confirmations throughout the chart. And a lot of this stuff is stuff that you'll pick up along the way. It's like, for me, it's hard for me to explain because it's like, this is just second nature to me. I don't really look and see, okay, there's like 3 rejections here. I could just see it by looking at this line that there was a triple rejection off that point. So that was the confluence that kind of pushed me over the top. We had the bare basics that we needed for the requirements. And then on top of that, we had the triple top here that provided me the confidence to take the trade. So it's I mean, it's hard to say because I was going to say it's easy to see, but it really isn't for everybody unless like you have developed that eye to really identify these things. So that's why it's really important that you guys practice every day and you guys are drawing these things like all throughout the chart so that it's easier for you guys to identify as you continue to trade. But you know, one thing that you guys got to keep in mind is that I've been trading for a long time. So for me, this stuff is like, I don't really have to think about it. Whenever I see an entry, I'm able to take it without really thinking about it too much. Because I could see these patterns kind of lined up here. So, yeah, not sure. But David, I was trying to see what happened with you. I'm not sure if you were trying to apply that strategy because I remember you were trying to explain your strategies to us during the last mentoring session. I'm not sure if that was what you were applying. I didn't really understand it, so I couldn't really discuss it. But yeah, not sure what happened with your account, David. We didn't really take any trades here that would have led to a loss. I'm not sure what you took on your own. Here we go. As price comes back down, I think the fundamentals are starting to drop a bit lower. It's currently 57 points, 38 points, the green. So once it drops back into the red, this is going to give you some sort of a bias for a sell. Not a strong bias, but it's still going to be a bias for a sell because the sentiment here is also a sell. Not a strong one, but it's still a sell. And this comes back down to the red. This will make it a sell. And from there, you can start looking for any possible sell entries. So it's 8 o'clock, guys. I lost track of time. It's 8 o'clock right now. So it looks like it's time for me to wrap it up for the session. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, just a reminder, we're having our group mentoring session today at 2 p.m. So if you guys have any detailed questions or any trades that you want us to cover, feel free to write down the timestamp and we can cover it during the mentoring session. Also, if you guys want us to cover any of these like scalp entries, make sure to take a screenshot of the fundamentals. So if you guys want me to cover something like that's happening between now and 2, I would recommend taking a screenshot of the trade. So like have the trade marked up, click on this camera button right here, click on copy link to chart or save the image so that we know what time the trade came up. And then I would also recommend taking a screenshot of the fundamentals here and the retail sentiment. So if you guys can do that, we can go back and we can kind of, basically troubleshoot what happened with the trade. If there was something that happened where they ended up with a loss or whatnot. But I think at the moment, I don't really see anything else here. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat now. Otherwise, you guys are free to email me, message me on Telegram, or attend the mentoring session later today. Looking at everyone else's profits over here, let me scroll down a little bit. Let's see, Kel over here sent his stuff over here. Nice, yeah. So Kel over here is looking for a bearish push as well. I can see that playing out right there. Going over here to Charles, let's see, Charles posted some more profits, locked in a total profit of 921 for the day. Nice work, Charles. Other than that, Maddie over here locked in a total profit of 387. Nice work, Maddie. And his second account over here locked in a total profit of 365. He said my 200K account gave me less, but not really tripping. It's Monday, so I'll wait for the rest of the week. Yeah, same here, Maddie. I made a couple profit today, so I'm good. And I'm probably just going to sit out the rest of the day. Cern over here locked in a total profit of 612. Nice work, Cern. And then Randy over here said, yeah, Randy said death market feature is goated. It went from 95K to 101K for 100K count in 3 trading days. So nice work over here as well, Randy. Randy figured out how to use the DOM tool. Total profit of 1,380. Nice work, Randy. Randy said he has 2 days left on his phase 1. Should I just stop and take the extension? Yeah, I would just stop. This far. Yeah, Randy. So Randy pretty much started trading with the DOM. He brought his account back from 95K to 101K in 3 days. I'd recommend just sitting it out, Randy, because there's no point in risking it. You have like 2 days to possibly pass. It's going to be too much of a risk. So I would just hold off. Patricia over here as well sent in her profit. She locked in a total profit of 2,733 for the day. Nice work, Patricia. Nick over here as well. Oh yeah, definitely. I'll read that message later, Nick. Sorry. I'll put your private message on the session here. But other than that, guys, I think that's about it for now. I don't really see anything else here for me to look at. Eduardo said, I still have the account plus 800 in profit today. Thank you, Sean. See you guys tomorrow. Definitely, Eduardo. So nice recovery on your account there. Hopefully you can bring it back. I don't want to see you blow this account. So hopefully you're going to stay consistent with this for the rest of the week. So definitely we'll see you tomorrow, Eduardo. And Tony said possible V3 in 10 minutes, 6 minutes. Yeah, possible V3 right here that Tony was just referring to, which I could possibly see coming as well. It's a bit of a big push, but I think it could happen. But I'm not going to sit around, because if I sit around, I know I'm going to FOMO into this trade. So, all right, guys, I think that's it. I don't see any other questions. Just a reminder, we're having a group mentoring session today at 2 p.m. Pacific. So it's 8 o'clock right now, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2. In about 6 hours, I'll be back here live. So if you guys have any detailed questions that you guys want me to cover, I'll be back here in about 6 hours. So if you guys want to sit in on the mentoring session, feel free to come back around that time. The link will be posted in the groups, and I'll see you guys then. So I'm going to take a break for right now, and I'll see you guys back here in about 6